everybody. I'm back and I'm excited about my guest. We have with us Mr. Pete Adams. And Pete, as many of you know, is a law of attraction expert. He's an author, he's a serial entrepreneur. He and his wife, Robin, are very philanthropic and they are all about serving others. And today, Pete and I are going to be talking about how to keep your dream alive, or what do you do when it just looks like that there are problems and obstacles that are really stopping or hindering your dream? So, Pete Adams, welcome back to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
Oh, thanks for having me back on, Constance. As always, I'm blessed to be able to share what I know with your audience, and we always have a wonderful show together. And I'm looking forward to having the best one yet.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you in advance because audience, we should never take for granted the experience and the expertise and the time and the effort that Pete takes in order to prepare for the show. So I never take that for granted. I know you love doing it, but I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, Constance. I know how much work you put into the show every single week, and you've been doing it for, I believe, over a decade now. So
11 years. Hey, get
11 years and counting. It's awesome.
And counting. Hey, get it straight, Pete. 11 years.
Hey, I'm getting old. I'm losing track of time, Constance.
Well, before we get started, to teach people what to do when it looks like problems and obstacles are really holding back or hindering their dream, or how to keep their dream alive, I have an upcoming event in 2 weeks on manifesting, creating, and attracting money and love. You've been to one of my live events. Tell the audience, what was it like? What is it like?
Well, Constance, I know it's going to sound like a total pitch to anyone listening to it, but honestly, everyone, the whole seminar was truly transformational. I saw some people come in that were, they needed some help and direction, and it was just by the end of the weekend, they were transformed. You could see it. They were fired up, and I stayed in touch with some of the folks that were actually at the seminar, and they achieved massive success within a few months after attending Constance's seminar. For instance, one lady she was lonely and she was having some challenges financially, etc. And her name is Donna, and she went to the Constance's seminar, and shortly thereafter, she ended up with attracting a man into her life who was like fantastic for her. This was down in Tampa. One of the things she wanted was she wanted to have somebody that had a boat because she enjoyed boating. And sure enough, this guy had 2 boats. So go big. And then she opened up her own business. So it was amazing. And she has a testimony actually on my YouTube channel if you want to see how great her life got after attending Constance's seminar. You'll be blown away. Yeah. And another lady that I stayed in touch with, Tracy, when she first went to that seminar, she had just gotten out of the military, and she just received her real estate salesperson's license. And I talked to Tracy about 8 weeks ago, mm-hmm. and she's like the #1 performer at Keller Williams selling real estate. So mm-hmm. she's having massive success. And I believe she was also one of your coaching clients, correct?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. So it's just like, if you go to this seminar, you're gonna get if you do the work and do what Constance teaches you, you're gonna get results. That's just how it's gonna be, and I can't recommend it enough to anyone.
Yeah, I just want, because you were right there, and I just wanted, I can tell them, but I just wanted to hear your take on it, and and I didn't know you were going to share those 2 stories and those 2 testimonies.
Right, and I remember I think it was like after the first day, mm-hmm. One of the attendees called you and just said something has shifted in my experience. Mm-hmm. And the guy couldn't describe it. He just said something is different, and it was. I mean, it was amazing. It was just an amazing weekend, and to get results like that in such a short period of time, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. So everybody, once again, February the 22nd, I'm going to teach you here in the ATL, really how to change paradigms, change your mindset, change your beliefs so that you can allow, align, and attract money, love, and anything else you want. Okay, Pete. So today we're going to teach people on what can they do to keep their dream alive, or what can they do when they've set an intention and it looks like all kinds of problems and obstacles have just stopped their dream. And you are living that right now, and that's why I wanted you to come on and share your experience.
Oh well, thanks, Constance. Absolutely.
And
The
and and
yeah,
so
this what?
and
Go
so
ahead.
he-
I'm
so
sorry.
here you and Robin were living in Colorado, skiing and whatever, hiking and being very philanthropic and volunteering, and you were working on a big project. And
And it all changed like overnight. Actually, our general manager at our business in Florida unexpectedly decided to retire, and we were not ready for that. Let me just put it that way, Constance. It was just like what, and it was just like, I guess the best way to say it was the first day we were like pretty much in shock.
yeah,
But the biggest thing that I had to stay with was, I don't know why it's happening, but I know it's happening for me. Even though it looks crazy on the surface, I knew it was happening for me, and that was the thing. And that's the biggest thing I can share with everyone. It's just like, you're always going to have challenges show up in your life, and sometimes the more powerful you get, the more powerful the challenges appear in your experience. But it's really a chance for you to, show how powerful you are and overcome them. And one of the biggest things is how you respond to an event affects the final outcome of it. And so it's just like, when something shows up, it's a challenge, and you say, "Oh, woe is me, my dream, this kills my dream." Well, that's the end of the game for you. But if you respond to say, "You know what, this is happening for me, I'm going to get through it. I know this is working on my behalf," and then what will happen miraculously is, in time, that's just how it'll show up. It's like, when you look back, you'll be able to connect the dots. But when it's in your face, it's not always the easiest thing. I know how that is. I've been through it.
yeah. And so Pete, so I want to just play this out for the audience. Pete and Robin are in Colorado. They get the message their GM is retiring. They have to pack up all of their stuff, leave their home. And from Robin's perspective, I'm talking about from a woman's perspective, we don't ever want to leave our home. And so emotionally all that was happening, and then they go back to Florida. So tell us about some of the issues of or things that you had to deal with when you got to Florida, employee wise and all of that other stuff.
Oh, I got a funny story for you, Constance, and it's so true. It's let me just explain it. Rob and I have always we always call the universe our human resource department, and
Mhm.
there's a meditation I read from the Science of Mind every single morning, and it's I'll just recite it to you.
Okay.
My business is directed by divine intelligence. The all-knowing mind knows what to do and how to do it. I do not hinder, but let it operate in my affairs. It prospers and directs me and controls my life. My affairs are managed by love and directed by wisdom, and they cannot fail to prosper and expand. My affairs are in his hands. Let me share with you a story. Since we've been back, we've had like a 25% turnover in our with our team members. People quitting, people getting fired. It's crazy, Constance. But the
Mhm.
wildest thing is, when the dust settled, and it did like last week, we had a whole new group of team members who are awesome. But while we were going through it, we were like, how are we going to get this coverage? How are we going to do all these things? And on the surface, it was like utter chaos. But now that we're on the other side of it, it's like, wow, it's not so bad. It's working pretty good. So that's just, that's an example. We didn't get caught up in oh, woe is me, why is this happening? Having a little pity party, you want some cheese to go with that wine. We just didn't go there. We just always stayed true to the fact that it's happening for us, and by staying in that place and holding it, and that's just how it worked out.
Wow. Well, I want to share a little bit of my story, Pete, for listeners, because we're talking about what to do, when you set an intention or how to keep your dream alive. I was working on this big, massive presentation, this big seminar that I was going to do. And it just didn't work out. I mean, I put in all of the work, social media, everything out, but it was just the timing. And so, being the female that I am with my hormones, Pete, when it happened, I want to tell listeners the first thing I did was I radically accepted, okay, I am so sad, so disappointed, upset, and all of the above. So I allowed myself to feel that way for a couple of days. I knew I wasn't going to stay there, but then I just allowed myself to kind of feel that for the first couple of days. And then I began to slowly, and audience, notice I use the word slowly, say, okay, God, um, what are the new possibilities? What are the new ways of thinking and the possible alternatives in this situation? And so, Pete, I began to realize that the download that I received was I did not give enough time for the marketing strategy. It was the wrong time of the year, and just all other kinds of things that I could have done differently that next time I will. So I began to ask God for the upgrades because you got to remember when you are really moving toward your dream, you're going to always need some upgrades. How can I tweak this? How can I change my mindset? So I slowly begin to ask for what are the possibilities? What are my upgrades? What are some solutions? And Pete, I stopped engaging with the problem of woe is me. And a part of me did want to say woe is me, but I know better and start engaging with the possibilities and asking the universe, asking spirit, what are the possibilities here? What do I need to learn and upgrade?
Oh, that was perfect, Constance. For the listeners, one of the things that I want to share with you is when you're in that state, when you're going through those emotions, it's really tough for you to be able to be open to listening for guidance from spirit because
It
it just
is.
you're in too much of an emotional state. But it's like all you need to do is like Constance did. She just asked spirit for the downloads, and they come in, don't they, Constance?
They came in, and I'll share this about Robin if you don't mind me sharing this, Pete, woman to woman. I called Robin when I found out that they were going to have to move because I understand how we are. And, I don't think I called her. I just left her a message. And I think I said to her, allow yourself to feel your feelings, but you're not going to live there always. And that's all I said. I didn't even talk to her because I think that there is a place where you do have to radically accept, yeah, this is what is happening right now, right in the middle of my dream.
Oh yeah. That's so true. That was I really want to thank you again for that phone call because it was just like it's like you got to move. Everyone has to process those emotions and get on the other side of them. And once you're on the other side of them, you're like, okay, now it's game on. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I think Pete in the middle of obstacles and all of this stuff coming at us is a great time for listeners to say, what do I need to change? What do I need to shift? Like you got new employees. How do I need to change my thinking? Do I need to change my timeline? Like I was so rushed with this event, I needed to change my timeline. So it's a great time for you to brainstorm with yourself and with spirit and with other people to tweak, change, shift so that you can keep moving toward your dream.
Oh, exactly. It's like the power of the pivot. It's just like, you know, your success is never a straight line. It's like sometimes you need to get out of the way so you don't get hit with a snowball. It's just, sometimes it's a zigzag route, but in the end it works out. But when it's happening, like for instance, when we had when we bought this business, we were in Colorado, and then we it came about through connections we had in Ecuador. It was just crazy, you know what I mean? Constance just like, to get to go to Florida, to get back to Colorado, it took us through Quito, Ecuador. I mean, it's I could never have scripted this thing. It's just but how that's how it happened. And
Yeah.
sometimes life's an adventure. It really is. And sometimes it's like I know this is going to be like real deep for probably a lot of the listeners, but some there are things such as pre-life agreements that you've made. So sometimes you set the bar pretty high before you get into this experience, so that you'll grow. So sometimes it's like, hey, you're the one to set up this journey, and just go with it. Do the best you can.
Okay, and so what else do you want to share with people, who might be, maybe a listener might have started a business and it failed, or maybe you were starting a business and then you didn't have enough money, or maybe you thought you were going to go back to school, but then something happened and your babysitter couldn't keep your children. What else can you share with people just in real life circumstances to keep
Oh,
them moving
oh,
forward?
oh yeah, Constance, absolutely. The first business I had, years ago in like the '90s, it's like it went under like quick, and I'm like I thought I knew everything about this business. I went into it, and then I didn't realize that all the contracts were done during the winter, and I didn't start the business until the spring. So I'm out there trying to get contracts that weren't available, and it was a learning experience. Let me put it that way. And sometimes, so it's just like, okay, well, that didn't work. And I knew after going through it, I realized that the lesson in that was you need to be more prepared, Pete, before you go do something like that again.
Yeah.
So that's the lesson I took away from it. And then later on, when I left the working in healthcare to open our real estate brokerage, I was real conscious of, making sure we had enough working capital on hand, because that is what the lesson I learned from the first business, and I was not going to let it happen again. Unfortunately, it didn't. So, it's everything's a learning process, and it's like, hey, if you get knocked down, get up, brush yourself off, get back in the game. It's like, you're 100% responsible for your success and your goals, and it's like, unless you quit, you're gonna win. You gotta just keep playing. Like I say to some of my friends, it's like, if you don't leave the field, the game doesn't stop playing. So just remember that. No matter how bad it gets, keep playing, play harder, play stronger.
Well, when you mentioned the word game for my international listeners, we just had the Super Bowl. Sorry, Pete, New England. Pete and Robin, they're like the Patriots fans. So sorry, you guys and Tom Brady were not in the game. But Patrick Mahomes, who's 24 years old, I love what he said because they were down like 10 points and it was like the last quarter. And so I think the last three playoff games, one game they were down 24 points, another game just some kind of crazy number. But this is what he said. He had just threw an interception and somebody else caught the ball with the other team, obviously. And so the interviewer asked him this question, Pete. He said, "What was your mindset after that interception?" And this is what he said. He said, "Coach Reed taught us to put the past behind us, and then think about how can I make the next play my best play ever. I thought that was profound. And then he said, if that play is not the best play ever, I'm going to put that behind me. And each play, we have our heads down and we're thinking, how can I make this next play my best play ever? And so for listeners, that's how you got to do it. You got to break it down one small baby step at a time. How can I make this next way of thinking my best way of thinking? How can I make this best way of feeling my best way of feeling ever? Just like that, Pete.
Oh, no, that's so perfect. And at 24 years old to be the MVP of the Super Bowl, I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, that guy was awesome. It doesn't even scratch the surface on that. That's the thing. It's just like the past is the past. Don't drive down the road looking in the rearview mirror. You're gonna hit a tree.
And so, Pete, on those days, and we get down to the real nitty gritty where you might have had an employee who walked off or somebody quit. How were you able to respond to that without allowing it to say, oh my God, this is ridiculous?
Oh well, in Constance, it's just like it happens, and it's like like the thing we're referring to is like the busiest week of the year. Critical employee, goes to lunch and doesn't come back, and I'm like, for a second there, you're like, we're it's almost like Gulliver's Travels. We're doomed,
Mm-hmm.
And then like 2 seconds later, the phone rings and Robin hires somebody else who's like amazing. So it's like, but if that person came in and when we were fully staffed, that we would have had to turn them away. So it's just like, it looks crazy. It freaks you out. Don't get me wrong, but very soon thereafter, we were staffed up again, and it just kept constant. It happened like that, like repeatedly over the past 6-7 weeks. And it's just like when it's happening, you're like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? What am I thinking, kind of thing. And then I remember. Then I always just remember. It's like, hey, I made the universe my human resource department, and they handle things their own way. So I just trust it's working out, and it always does.
And so during those times, you kept thinking, I'm talking to listeners, this is happening for me, not to me.
For me, if there's anything the biggest takeaway from this show to anyone is know that it's happening for you. It may not look like that, but it's always happening for you. Just have that be your mantra no matter what. And believe me, if you stay in that, you just keep having that affirmation, it's going to get you through those tough spots. Because you don't see what's coming down. You don't see what's right around the corner. It could be you manifesting your miracle, but you just have to trust that miracle. You're going to meet that miracle halfway. And if you get into the mindset that why is this happening to me, you get into the victim mode, and the only thing a victim can become is a bigger victim. So it's just like if you say that it's happening for me rather than to me, it will work out for you. But if you start, why is it happening to me? That you start going on that road, you're going to have some challenges like you haven't seen yet, and it's not going to get better until you change that whole energy and trust that with faith that it's happening for you. I cannot emphasize that enough, Constance.
Yeah. What else you want to share, Pete?
Well, for me, one of the biggest things, as always, is we always talk about my hour of power, and if you do your hour of power every day and have gratitude, when you hit these rough patches that you're going to hit, we all hit them. It's going to help you get through it, because you're already operating from a higher vibration. So it's just like read motivating material. I practiced doing a lot of scripting with gratitude and things like that. And by doing that, my life is easier. always, it's like, I have like these little challenges here and there, but it's just like I got a pretty darn good life that I'm very grateful for. So it's just like, but my life is not like, it's not like some Alice in Wonderland thing, but it's like, hey, I just roll with it, and it always works. And if you do your hour power, do your visualizations, do your goal setting, you can be, do, or have anything you desire. That's the truth.
Well, and so I had somebody say to me, they said, well, you and Pete Adams make it seem so easy. And I'm saying it's not easy. And that's why I wanted you to come on because you've been in the middle of some really difficult challenges. But but are you saying to me, Pete, that even when you drove from Colorado, I don't know if y'all drove or not, but even when you came from Colorado to Florida, had to find another place to live and all of that unpack and all of that other stuff, get used to a different climate again, because you guys are out there where the snow is, and now, Florida is warmer. Are you saying that you still did your hour power every day?
Constance, I did my hour power. We did drive back, and I did my hour power in the morning, on the, sitting on the side of the bathtub in the hotel room. I mean, I do not miss my hour power for anything. I don't care what it is. I'll skip. I'll skip eating. I'll skip whatever. It never. My hour power is ahead of everything in my day. Period.
Mm.
And that's and that's why I believe I get results because I'm consistent. And that's what,
Yeah.
everyone needs to be. You can't, it's like, if you want to get results with working with the law of attraction, you need to show up. You need to, you need to be there, because it's almost like working out. We say this all the time. It's like, if you want to be in great shape, well, you need to exercise. You can't watch a television show about it and it's like, oh, I'm in shape now because I watched somebody else work out. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, Kobe Bryant, everybody is just really impacted by his death. And somebody asked him about, when he went through the tough times, what did he do? I think he sprung his Achilles or something like that, and that's a really difficult healing that needs to take place. And he said in his own mind, he made a decision that failure doesn't exist as long as every day he kept trying to practice
Oh, yeah.
basketball. He said, now if I had given up, then failure exists. But he talked again about mindset in the middle of difficult times. And so for listeners, I just want you to see we're not saying that it's easy, but sometimes I'm a woman, I'm talking emotionally now. We can be real emotional. Hey, I love the feminine energy and flow in it, but I had to make a decision years ago. I will not allow my emotions to rule me. I'm going to let truth rule me. That's what Kobe did. That's what Patrick Holmes did. Instead of being nervous, they said, "Well, were you tense? Were you hyper?" He said, "No. I was focused on what's my next step." So for listeners, Pete, I'm saying you can't be just like tripping. You can't be focusing in and engaging the problem. You need to be looking at the possibilities.
Oh, exactly. You get whatever you focus on, you get more of it. So why not focus on the solution rather than the challenge?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, because I was reading the I Ching wisdom book this morning, and there was a great passage in that and how perfect it was the same day we're going to do the show. And I'm going to read it right now.
Okay.
And the parable is, only a person who goes to meet his fate resolutely will be equipped to deal with it adequately. And the author's comment is, to meet fate resolutely means that you have the determination to overcome whatever fate may bring, that you will not succumb to folly or temptation, and that you will not be turned aside from your chosen course. Only a strong or courageous person can stand up to his fate, overcoming all obstacles. His fierce determination enables him to endure to the end. The strength or courage shows itself in facing things exactly as they are, without any sort of self-deception or illusion. It is then that a light develops out of the events by which the path to success may be recognized. By making a strong commitment, you will actually cause favorable events to occur that would not have otherwise occurred. A person capable of this kind of commitment can reach any goal. And that's just what you referred to with Kobe and of these other people. It's just like, you stay resolute, you stay in that space, and miraculous things will happen for you. That's just how it works.
I just love that. And Pete used the word commitment that, when all of these problems show up, and they will, and challenges, if you could change your mindset, this is an upgrade. God loves to partner with me during difficult times. What do I need to a shift and change? But then in your mind, you're committed. And so you're committed. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm going to manifest my dream. And so I'm going to use you again, Pete. Here Pete is just got the news that his GM was resigning. They're in the car driving from Colorado. For my international listeners, almost across the entire state, right, Pete? Almost.
Well, that's obviously it's almost it's more than halfway across the country.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so
it's like 2,200 miles or some crazy thing.
So here they are driving, and they must have stopped in a hotel and spent the night. And Pete could have just been saying, "Oh my God, why is this happening? This is so much." But then they spend the night there, and then Pete goes in the bathroom and does his hour of power. Now that's
Oh
great.
yeah,
That's commitment.
Yeah, it is. And the reason why I had to do it in the bathroom was because there was no spot I could turn. I could have the lights on without waking Robin up.
Yeah.
So it's just like, so it's, it's not funny, but whenever we travel, I bring all my hour of power stuff with me in my bag. So it's just like, to me, it's kind of normal, in a bizarre way. But, that's the consistency. And it's like, if you will show up every single day and do your part, there's nothing you cannot have. It's like, we're working with laws here. This isn't just chance stuff. It's like you stay in that mindset. You keep living your dream in your mind. Pretty soon, it's going to be your life. It's going to be, you're going to be in the real game, not just in the visual game. You know what I mean, Constance?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I want to share another story with Joel Olsteen. And all of you know Joel, they say Joel reaches more people from his church than any other pastor. And so before they moved into that big Rocket arena, the sports arena, he said he had looked at a piece of land, and because the current church, the smaller church was getting so big, and they had put a contract on this land, and it fell through. He said for a minute he felt discouraged and like, God, why didn't you let me purchase this property? I thought this was it. So then another year went by. They're still looking for properties, Pete, and so then they found another one, and then they talked to the owner. The owner said, yes, you can have this. And so they put a contract on it, and they went to the closing. And when they got there, the attorney said he's already sold the property to somebody else. And Joel said he said he just felt like, why does this keep happening to me? And so long story short, he said 2 years later, a friend of his says, "Did you know that they're selling I think it's the Rockets sports arena?" And they had to really fight to get it. But he said, looking back on that now, he realized number one, God was changing his mindset, trying to get him to think bigger, upgrading his thinking, but was really taking him to something higher. And now they're in their dream facility.
Wow. Because that reminded me of an experience I had about 22 years ago, and it's just like that, and it involves real estate, so it's kind of funny. Excuse me. What happened was Rob and I we were buying a house in Sarasota, Florida, and it was a foreclosure, and we had to put a bid package into HUD. So we put all the stuff together, sent it in, and I'm calling. This is before I had my real estate license in Florida, and I'm talking to the agent, and I'm like, hey, when am I going to hear back about, do we get the house or not? And there was this big pause on the other end, and he's just like, well, they didn't get the bid. I'm like, what do you mean they didn't get the bid? We sent it in the overnight thing, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah. And this is what happened. This is what happened for us. So there was a new driver back then there was there was a service called Airborne. They're not around anymore. It's kind of like a FedEx. Well, the guy went to the box and he picked up one side but not the other side, and there were like two compartments. So our bid never got to Norcross, Georgia. So we never were in the game. And I'm like, how can this happen? This is before I was in law of attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how can this happen? This is so crazy. That was the greatest deal in the world, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you why it really happened for us. A few months later, we bought a larger property. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. And I went into business with a friend of mine from Massachusetts, and he had kids. And the whole thing was, he moved into the house that we had bought, the second one, and it was big enough for him and his family. And if we bought the other one, it wouldn't have worked out. So it was just like, it worked out perfectly. But at the time, I was just like, how can this happen? Woe is me, right? And then like 2 years later, I'm like, oh, wow, that happened for me. But I didn't realize that until I started thinking law of attraction and started realizing how sometimes events happen. They happen for you, but when it's happening, it feels like it's happening to you, and you somehow, you get hit by a lightning bolt. But it just looks that way. That's not how it really is.
That's so good, Pete. And something else, while all of these things are sort of swirling around us, you have to learn how to be really more patient. And I always say this: God has a million ways to get your desires to you. And so if you're really rigid and like it has to go this way, or it has to be one, two, three, the spirit may do one, 422, and minus 78. And so you've got to be flexible, as you're moving toward your dream, but you have to be trusting, like Pete said, your highest good is this is working out for my highest good. This is working out for me.
That was perfect. That math analogy, Constance, was so spot on, because it's
I
like,
just made that up.
that was perfect. I loved it, because that really is just how it works sometimes. It's like you're at the restaurant and you're trying to order salmon, and they bring out steak. You're like, I didn't order steak. I ordered salmon, and then something bizarre happens, and the steak falls in your lap, and then a salmon comes jumping out of the lake next door. I don't know. It's just crazy how things work out like that. So it's it's just trust that it's always working for you. It's like again, is the way I can best represent how things have worked for me, and just know it's always happening for you. It's getting better, not that it's getting worse. Do not ever go down I call it the downward spiral, where this one event happens and you have this idea in your head that every single thing next in your life is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's all in your head. It's not happening. You're just using your imagination the wrong way. So just, an event is just an event, and just drive through it and just know that it's just like, hey, okay, that's an event. I don't know why it's happening, but it just happened, and I'm just going to assume that it's working for me. I mean, and that way you become Teflon. Don't let anything stick to you unless it's success.
Yeah, I love that. And for my ladies out there, if you were in a relationship and you thought this is the one, Constance and Pete, this is my man. This is my baby. And then it doesn't work out. He chooses somebody else. He breaks up with you and you're just like, "Oh my God, why did this happen to me?" I'm talking to you now from experience. And you just like, "I just don't know if I can go on." All of the above. I just recently ran into a man that I was engaged to, Pete, just some years back, and when I had already realized that, you see, the spirit already knew I needed somebody that could flow and roll with who I am, so I wouldn't have to sort of just dumb myself down. But when I saw him, I said, "Thank you, God." that did that didn't that that did not manifest for me. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if somebody leaves your life, take the lessons learned and realize that that obviously was not your highest good, and begin to be joyful and grateful for the upgrades, and begin, like Pete said, expecting that this is happening for you and not to you.
That's so perfect, Constance, because it's and weird things will happen in your life like that where you think you're in this, this is the one for me for forever,
Yeah.
but it really wasn't, and there's someone better on the way to you, but that new person can't come to your life until the other one leaves it. So just, I know if it's happening to somebody right now, it's just like, just know that somebody better for you and they're on their way to you, and just trust it. Don't, realize that relationship that you just had was not the right one. And that's why you're
Yeah.
not in it anymore.
So, Pete, one way that people can really keep their dream alive, I heard you say, practicing gratitude and being joyful about the upgrade. So, are you telling me that even when you got the news that you was gonna have to pack up your stuff? I'm saying that again so people can get the real deal. Pack up your stuff from your house in Colorado, drive all the way across to the U.S., find a house in Florida, get settled there again, get your business organized. Are you saying that you were still in gratitude?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like, I'm grateful. It's like, maybe I'm not at the moment. I'm not grateful that I have to move from Colorado, but you know what? It's like I focus on the other things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my perfect health. I'm grateful
Hmm.
for my loving wife, who's amazing. I'm
Cheers.
grateful for having the opportunity to be on Constance Isles' show. I mean,
Hmm.
these are the real things I have gratitude for. So it's just like, it's, and then basically it takes the rough edge off of everything. And then it's just like, well, then you can get in that space. It's like, I don't know why it's showing up this way, but I know it's working for me. And then you can go on with your day and have a higher vibration, which is going to bring more and better things into your experience than, going, laying on the couch crying in the ball, which is not going to do anything for anybody.
Oh, I love that. It's this pastor at church, and he says, "Get happy and see what happens." I love it. He said, "Get
that,
happy and see what happens." And every time he says it, I'm like, "Pastor Lonnie, that is so powerful." So I'm saying to listeners, you know, don't let your emotions rule you. Stop and take a look at, just like Pete did, and just like I do. Okay, I got a beautiful home. I'm talking about me now, Pete. I can run and walk. I'm in great health. I have great friends. So you start to get happy, and then you see what happens. You start to get in the vibration. Okay, my dream over here seems like it's stopped and it's hindered and I feel stuck. But over here, where can you be grateful?
oh, that's perfect, Constance. It's just, it's this. You have to have. It's like, if you're alive, you got something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people just spend their life like, complaining. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if I just notice it more now because I'm like more conscious of it.
Mhm.
But it's like, when I'm in like a restaurant or something in the grocery store, it's just like, it's like people just run around complaining about everything. It's just like, that's not the way to live your life if you want to have success and happiness. It's to focus on, all the horrible things in the world, I mean, that's just not, that's not doing anybody any good at all.
So true. And lastly, I just want to say to listeners that, when you are exploring the possibilities, okay, what do I need to do here? Almost see every problem pointing you to new opportunities or a new mindset, Pete, or maybe I could do it this way, or maybe I could change this. And really understand that while you are still dealing with some problems or hindrances, your consciousness is being expanded, your mindset is shifting. That's gold. Your thinking is changing in order to keep you moving toward your dream. And I'm going to say it's going to be beyond, kind of like what I said about Joel Osteen, beyond your wildest dreams, what will manifest if you continue to do that.
Oh, that is beautiful, Constance. So that's just so true. That's and that the analogy there about Joel Olsteen and getting shot down in the first two deals and questioning things, and then look at him now. I mean, I watch I'll watch that on TV some Sunday mornings, and I'm just like, there are so many people in that congregation. It's just unbelievable. And how many people are online watching it or on television? It's
Billions.
astronomical.
It's
Yeah, it's
billions
crazy.
watching him.
Yeah.
So,
Almost as many listeners as you have.
hey, I gotta catch up with him. But so Pete, we're saying to people, don't give up. Keep pressing. Keep moving. Uh, keep changing your mindset. Look for the possibilities. Don't engage with the problem. Be happy and see what happens. What do you want to say last to people, Pete?
My thing is, is a real simple mantra, and that is never say die.
Mm.
Never ever quit. And because it's like, if you strive one more day, maybe that's the day that it all happens for you. So, stay positive. It's always happening for you. And it's just like, if we'll work with these laws, the laws will work for you, and you won't believe how great your life can get, because there's really no limits on it.
Pete, give people your website. You're sort of going in and out a little bit. I don't know what that was, but give people your website. How can people reach you? An audience, email Pete. I mean, we're so grateful to him. I have watched him walk through this whole thing, and he's just put all of his business out in the street for y'all today. So you could see just exactly how he's walking through a difficult time. And but making it his best life ever.
Oh, exactly. Well, if anyone wants to visit our website, it's peterdadams.com, and we have a Tools for Success newsletter. And also, if you want to sign up for Constance Arnold's YouTube channel and my YouTube channel, which is Visual Festation, I will send you 35 classic success ebooks for free. Just email me, tell me what your screen name is, and I'll get those books right out to you. And there's some classics in there that I read probably 25, 30 times. I mean,
wow.
Keep programming yourself with great stuff, and watch out, because the good stuff's coming.
Well, what's your email, Pete?
Yeah, my email is visualfestation, which is the title of my first book,
okay.
visualfestation at gmail.com. So, if you guys have any questions, I love, I'm not so busy that I blow people off at all. It's like,
not at all.
I get some great questions. And sometimes the questions I get from, people who have heard me on Constance's show are great things, because what I'll do is I'll create a video blog about it. And it'll, you'd be surprised how many people have the same question that you may have.
Yeah, and Pete, thank you so much. And guys, go visit his website. And I didn't know he was going to offer these 35 ebooks if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and his YouTube channel. That's Visual, Visualfestation at gmail.com. And Pete, I'm excited to receive these powerful testimonies. And as I always say, the best is yet to come. Everybody, have a great week and God bless you.